Okay, everybody. I got a couple of decks here that I've already opened. I've actually played with one of them. This one right here, and I went 2-1. So I won 2 games, lost one with this one. Very first game I ever actually played, which was a buy a booster tournament, if you will, just in a local game store. So I got fortunate in this, but again, this is the first game I ever played was with this deck, so I didn't really know how to play it. And then I picked this deck up probably about a week later, and these are two of my my little jewels here, if you will. So we're going to dig into both of these and take a look and see what's in each. So let's go ahead and start with this deck here. So this is Odette Arc Jar Trip. So this was, like I said, the first deck that I had gotten in a sealed booster kind of tournament, and it was a lot of fun. So starting off, we're going to go ahead. So it's Sanctum, Mars, and Logos, and start off with our Logos cards. So we've got the Archivist, which is 3-power creature, and you reap, you archive a card. Then we have Vespelin, the Theorist, and he's elusive. He's only 2-power, but when you reap with him, you choose a house, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's of that house, archive it, gain 1 amber, otherwise discard it. Then we've got Dr. Escotera. Yeah, horrible with the name, sorry guys. So 4-power, you play him, you gain an amber for each forged key your opponent has. So it's a great card a little later in the game after your opponent's already got 1, maybe 2 keys forged. And we got 2 of those. And then we got one of my favorite cards. We got Mother here. So Mother is a 5-power creature, and during your draw card step, refill your hand to 1 additional card. And we are fortunate enough to have 2 of those in this deck. So very nice. Then we get into our artifacts. Pocket Universe. Didn't really know how to play this properly, that's for sure. So you may spend an amber on the Pocket Universe when forging keys. So any amber that's on here you can use to make your keys. It's an action. You can move 1 of your amber from your pool into the Pocket Universe. Problem is if your opponent destroys this, you'll lose amber. Next we have the Wormhole. It's an action. You gain an amber when you play it, and when you play the top card of your deck. So that's kind of fun. It actually worked in my favor once or twice. Then we have Remote Access. Gain an amber. It's an action. You play. You use an opponent's artifact as if it was yours. And so this was a nice little card in that game that I won. I was able to use my opponent's artifacts against them to great effect. Then we got some direct damage here. It's Twin Bolt Emissions. You gain an amber, play, deal 2 damage to a creature, and deal 2 damage to a different creature. Then we got Lab Work. Lab Work is gain an amber, action, play a card, archive it. Sorry about that little bit of background noise, but anyhow, carrying on. We have 2 of those Lab Works. So again, gain an amber, you play it, archive a card. So it's kind of nice to build up those cards in your archive so you can go ahead and have that perfect hand to go ahead and trounce your opponent. Now we get into our Mars. We'll start off with the Mind Warper. He's only 2-power. He's elusive. And as an action, you can choose an enemy creature, and it captures 1 amber from its opponent, well, from your opponent's side. So that's great. You force your opponent's creatures to capture amber from themselves, and then you kill the creature, get the amber. So I like that card a lot. Didn't know how to play it, and honestly, I actually never played it during the tournament. So I had it in my hand, but I just never actually got it onto the field because I didn't understand how to use it. Next, we have John Smith. John Smith is 2-power. He's elusive. You fight Reap, ready a non-agent Mars creature. So we have a non-agent Mars creature right there. But we also have the Ether Spider. This is a great card. 7-power. The Ether Spider deals no damage when it fights. So when you know, you have combat, somebody's attacking you, whatever, no damage dealt by this guy. He's just basically there to suck up damage. But his beauty lies in each amber that would be added to your opponent's pool is captured by the Ether Spider instead. So this is your amber control. Next we have the Dominator. This is another one of my favorite cards. It's a 9 power, 1 armor, taunt, and he enters play stunned. So not too bad. And I've been fortunate enough to get Zorg when I get the Dominator most of the time in most of my decks. So if I got Zorg, I typically have a Dominator. Zorg enters play stunned, but he's 7 power. Before he fights, so you initiate the fight, and before the actual fight happens, you stun the creature Zorg fights and each of its neighbors. So that's controlling the board there. So your opponent's going to end up having to spend 2 turns before they can use their creatures. Next we get into Squawker. So this works really good with both the Zorg and the Dominator because they enter play stunned. Now Squawker is an action. You gain an amber, you play, you ready a Mars creature or stun a non-Mars creature. So you can play it on these guys, they're readied. They still have the stun token, but you can go ahead and use the creature to remove the stun. So it's really nice. Next we have Battlefleet. So Battlefleet is an action again. Gain an amber. So we're getting a lot of amber generation. You play it, you reveal any number of Mars cards from your hand. For each Mars card revealed this way, you draw a card. And we have 2 of those. So card advantage is huge. Next we have Ammonia Clouds. So this is another action. This is a way to get rid of those pesky creatures. You know, the little 2/2s, 2 power creatures, 3 power creatures. So you play it, deal 3 damage to each creature. So it's a great way to get those little guys off the board. So it's like a board wipe. So it's really nice. Next we have Sample Collection. So it's an action. You play it, you put an enemy creature into your archives for each key your opponent has forged. If any of these creatures leave your archives, put into their owner's hand instead. So I never used this card. Again, I didn't understand it at the time. But towards the later game, your opponent's got 2 keys forged and you're basically behind. This is how you get those creatures that are just destroying you, keeping you from doing anything. Just steal them, put them in your archives, and never pull them out. Next, I have Mass Abduction, gain an amber. It's an action. You play it, you put up to 3 damaged enemy creatures into your archives. If any of these creatures leave your archives, they're put into another's hand. So it's a more powerful version of Sample Collection. So Mass Abduction, Sample Collection, I'm just going to steal your stuff and put it in my archives, and we're going to leave them there. So it's really nice. And then the last card for Mars is I can't even say the word. Had a hard time last video. Irradiated Amber. So you gain an amber, you play it, your opponent has 6 or more amber, deal 3 damage to each enemy creature. So this is a way of clearing their board or doing the damage on their board so you can do the Mass Abduction. So it's really nice. And it generates amber. So next we get into our Sanctum. Start off with this upgrade, and it's Protect the Weak, gain an amber. Each creature gets +1 armor and gains taunt. I'm sorry, this creature, not each. So this is a way of protecting, you know, some of your more valuable creatures. You know, you give them armor and they get taunt. So great card, great card. And we've got 2 of these. So really nice. Next, we've got Numquid the Fair. So 3 power, play, destroy an enemy creature, repeat this card's effect if your opponent still controls more creatures than you. So you play it, regardless, you're going to kill 1 creature. Now, if this is, say, the first creature, they've done a board wipe, put all their creatures back on the board, and you've got nothing, and you have this in your hand, play it, and just clear their board. Not much they can do about it, which is great, you know. So that's Sanctum's real great board clear. Next, we've got Sergeant Ezekiel. He's a 4 power, 1 armor. Play, you may ready and fight with a neighboring creature. So this is a way to, on a Sanctum turn, use a non-Sanctum creature. So I've always liked that. Next, we've got Lady Maxina. And 5 power, 2 armor, so good staying power. You play it, stun a creature. So again, you're controlling the board. So we got quite a bit of stun here. Well, I got stun on my creatures, but I get to do some stunning. Action, return Lady Maxina to its owner's hand. So I'm taking a little bit of damage. Just bring it back to my hand, play it again. Stun some more creatures. Control the board. Next, we've got Champion Anaphilo. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's 6 power, 1 armor, taunt. So great card just to get on the board. And here we go. So as you can see, this is a 4 horseman's deck. And both my decks, what I've noticed is Horseman of Pestilence is my trigger. And then these are the automatic cards that are added to it. The Horseman of Famine and the Horseman of Death and the Horseman of War. So we'll actually do it this way. So the way these work, this is a 5 power creature. You play, fight, or reap. It's going to deal 1 damage to each non-horseman creature. They all have Horseman, Spirit, and this one's Spirit. Next, we have the Horseman of Famine. So again, 5 power, play, fight, reap, destroy the least powerful creature. Now, if you have tied power, say you got a 2/2 creature, your opponent has a 2/2 creature, you as the player, it's your turn. You choose which of those creatures is the least powerful. So you break the tie. And I use that quite a bit. So that's great. Next, we have the Horseman of War. So this is just a play effect. You notice the other ones are play, fight, and reap. So play. For the remainder of the turn, each friendly creature can be used as if it were in the active house, but can only fight. So now I got a board full of creatures, and I just want to clear my opponent's board out, use a Horseman of War. Everybody gets to fight. And then last with this Horseman deck is the 5 power Horseman of Death. So again, it's only a play effect, but say your opponent, you hold this card. So say your opponent has cleared off your guys. Yeah, he did a board wipe. And all your horsemen are in your graveyard. Go ahead and play this. Return each horseman creature from your discard pile to your hand. And then you can play them again. So really nice. Last 2 cards of this deck, we have Shield of Justice. It's an action. Gain an amber. Play. For the remainder of the turn, each friendly creature cannot be dealt damage. So you play this before you get your Horseman of Pestilence, which is going to deal damage to everybody. And of course, we have some other cards that deal damage to everybody, but this Sanctum. And gain an amber. So heal yourself, use a Horseman of War, go out, fight, everybody lives on your side. And then last is take hostages, gain an amber, play for the remainder of the turn. Each time a friendly creature fights, it captures 1 amber. So you see the power here? That's the combo. So right there, you use Shield of Justice, gain an amber. For the remainder of your turn, each friendly creature cannot be dealt damage. You go ahead and you play take hostages. For the remainder of the turn, each time a friendly creature fights, it captures 1 amber. Horseman of War. For the remainder of the turn, each friendly creature can be used as if it were of the active house, Sanctum, and can only fight. So there you go. That's great amber generation. So here you guys go. Take a look here at our deck list, and hopefully you guys, let's see if we can get that in focus. There we go. So hopefully you guys enjoyed Odette Arc Jar Trip. So let's go ahead and take a look at my other deck. Okay, so let's take a look at my other deck here. We've got Geozap, the producer of the complex. So this is a Shadows, Sanctum, and Mars. So the difference between this deck and the other deck, house-wise, is we've got Shadow versus Logos. So starting off, we've got the Silent Dagger. So this is an upgrade. This creature gains Reap, deal 4 damage to a flank creature. So real nice. So you gain an amber when you play it. You're going to gain an amber when you reap, and you're going to deal 4 damage to a flank creature, which could potentially just kill it. So it's kind of nice. The next one is the Ring of Invisibility. I really like this card. So this is a upgrade, 1 amber. The creature gains elusive and skirmish. So it's going to take being attacked twice in the same turn to kill it with the elusive. And then skirmish, you can attack with it and it won't take damage. So it's really nice. Great upgrade. Next we have the excuse me, we have the urchin. So the urchin is a 1 power creature, so very weak. He's elusive, but when you play it, you steal an amber. So this is great as far as amber control against your opponent. So I like it. And you know, he's cannon fodder. Next we have Sneck Lifter. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Sneck Lifter. So anyhow, 2 power, not very powerful. You play, you take control of an enemy artifact. While under your control, it does not belong to one of your 3 houses. It is to be considered of House Shadow. So what that means is I take your artifact, and as long as I control it, basically if it was, say, Brognar or otherwise, and I don't have that obviously in my deck, I treat it as a shadow card. So anytime I call shadows, there we go. Next we have Shadow Self. Now see, this is a great card, 9 power, and what this card does is it allows creatures that are on either side of it to be protected. So the Shadow Self deals no damage when fighting. Damage dealt to non-specter, so it's got to be a non-specter creature, neighbor, is dealt to the Shadow Self instead. So it's a great way for these guys to survive. And we have 2 of those in this deck. It's kind of nice. But that was it. You notice 4 creatures, not a lot. So moving along, we've got the Speed Sigil. This is an artifact. You gain an amber when you play it, which is always nice. The first creature played each turn enters play ready. So this is not just for you, it's also your opponent. So the first creature played each turn enters play ready, meaning you can use it. You can play effects. You can fight, reap, or do an effect, an action. Next we have one of our actions here. This is Poison Wave. So you gain an amber. You're going to deal 2 damage to a creature, or to each creature, sorry. So great way of just getting damage to everybody. Next we have another action. This is Nerve Blast. So you play it, you're going to steal an amber, and if you do, you deal 2 damage to a creature. So a nice way to finish off a creature. And we've got 2 of those in this deck. Then we've got another action. It's called Finishing Blow. Gain an amber when you play it. You're going to play Destroy a damaged creature. If you do, steal an amber. So again, I stole an amber, I deal 2 damage, and then I did the finishing blow, and I destroyed a damaged creature and stole another amber. Really nice. And of course, I got an amber for it. We've got a Bait and Switch. So this is the last Shadows card that I got here. So you play it, your opponent has more amber than you steal 1. Then you get to repeat this card's effect if your opponent still has more amber than you do. So it's a nice way to balance it out, if not get ahead of your opponent. Now we're going to get into our Mars cards. So this is an upgrade that's kind of half of one, 6 of the other. It's Biomatrix backup. Gain an amber when you play it, which is the best part of the card. And this creature gains destroyed. You may put this creature into your owner's archives. So the way this works is if this happens on your opponent's turn, your opponent attacks and destroys this creature, they choose to put it into their owner's archives. So it's one of those half of one, 6 of the other kind of deal. If you played this on your opponent's creature that was just a pain in your butt, you can destroy that creature on your turn and choose to put it into that owner's archives. Kind of just get it out of the way, but you know, it's a tough card to play sometimes. Anyhow, moving on. Zizix the Many, 3 power, fight reap. You may reveal a creature from your hand. If you do, archive it, and Zizix the Many gets 3 plus 1 counters. So this is really nice. You can start getting your other houses kind of stacked up in your archives. And each time you're doing this, he's getting 3 plus 1 counters. So the first time you do it, he's a 6 power creature. Really nice. Next, we've got, I can't say that first word, Yazili Marauder. Maybe I got it there. 2 power. He gets plus 1 power for each amber on it. When you play it, you capture an amber for each friendly ready Mars creature. So if he's ready, he gets it. If you get a couple of creatures ready, for each creature, he captures 1 amber. Mars, mind you. Next, we've got some amber control with the Grabber Jammer. 4 power, 1 armor, which is nice. Your opponent's keys cost plus 1. And then when you fight Reap with this, you capture an amber. So you're making their keys more expensive to forge, and you just Reap with this and just keep taking their amber. So really nice. But that was it for the creatures. Again, not very many. I've got 3. So right now we're not doing so good with the creatures. Anyhow, going on to our artifacts, I've got the Mother Gun. So as an action, you reveal any number of Mars cards from your hand, which is nice because we've only got the 3 creatures, so it's just Mars cards. Deal damage to a creature equal to the number of Mars cards revealed. So it's got some uses. Next is Deep Probe, which is an action. You get an amber. You play it, you choose a house, reveal your opponent's hand, discard each creature of that house revealed this way. So it's a nice way of potentially thinning out your opponent's hand so they don't have that big next turn on you. So our next card here is an action. Gain an amber. It's an EMP blast. So this is half of 1/6 of the other. So when you play it, each Mars creature and each robot creature is stunned. So if you're going against Logos, works really well against them too. Each artifact is destroyed. So this is this deck's main way of destroying those artifacts that really start to mess with you, like add 3 to your Keyforge from Dis. So this is a nice card to have in your hand. Next, we've got Soft Landing, which is an action. You play it. The next creature or artifact that you play this turn enters play ready. So that Mother Gun, for example. Next, we've got Squawker. So Squawker is an action. You gain an amber. You play it. You ready a Mars creature or stun a non-Mars creature. So it's versatile. So remember, we've only got 3 Mars creatures. We can ready them and use them. Or, if we don't have our creatures, we can just stun our opponent. We've got 1, 2, and 3 of those. I wish we had more creatures, but this is in this deck, this is mainly used to stun your opponent and gain an amber. So it's not too bad. Next, we've got Mass Abduction, and this is going to give you an amber. You play it, put 3 damage enemy creatures into your archives. If any of those creatures leave your archives, they're put into their owner's hand instead. So this is a way of, taking those creatures you've damaged, sticking them in your archives, and you hold on to it until such time as you have to draw your archive, which could be never. So it's kind of nice. So finally, we're getting into our Sanctum. So with this, we start off with Commander Ramiel. So you're going to Reap. He's 3 power. Reap, use a friendly non-Sanctum creature. Again, another way of using a non-house faction during the Sanctum turn. We've got the Staunch Knight, which is 4 power, 2 armor. He gets plus 2 power while he's on a flank. So you definitely want to have him on the sides, because then he's a 6/2, which is awesome. Then we've got a Bulwark. So he's a 4/2. Each of his neighbors gets plus 2 armor. So we have him on the flank with Bulwark in next to him. And bada boom, he's got himself 4 armor, which is great. So you get plus 2 power, plus 2 armor. Real hard to kill the Staunch Knight when you're doing that, which is great. We got 2 of those, so 2 Bulwarks. And then we've got our 4 Horsemen. So same effects as the other one. And like I was saying before, my Horseman of Pestilence is the trigger for this deck. So I've only got the 2 Horseman decks. So I don't know if this is true for all Horseman decks or not, but my rare was the Horseman of Pestilence, and then I got the other 3 as the mandatory add to the deck. So the 4 Horsemen, and we've already gone over what they do. Next, we've got our artifact. It's Grom of Om, and it's an Omi or Oni item, which means you can use it on any of your turns, even if you're not calling Sanctum as your active house. So you're going to sacrifice this and destroy an artifact. So another artifact control, which is really nice. And now we have the Sigil of the Brotherhood. Again, this is an artifact. It's Omni. Sorry, Omni. I'm getting this all screwed up. But anyhow, sacrifice the Sigil of Brotherhood. For the remainder of the turn, you may use friendly Sanctum creatures. So you can use your 4 Horsemen during your Mars turn if you wanted. Really handy. And it gives you an Amber, which is great. Cleansing Wave. So you're going to heal 1 damage from each creature, gain 1 Amber for each creature healed this way, which is great. So if we just slip back here real quick, and we go to our Horseman of Pestilence. You play it, you fight, you reap. You do 1 damage to all non-horseman creatures. So if you're not playing against somebody that's using Horseman, there you go. Nice way of getting yourself Amber. So use your Horseman of Pestilence, deal 1 damage to everybody, then heal that damage and get an Amber for each one. And our last card is an action. It's Doorstep to Heaven, gain an Amber. Play. Each player with 6 or more is reduced to 5 Amber. So this is a nice way of keeping your opponent from forging that last key, you know, try and get that 1 extra turn on them. So they could turn the tide. But anyhow, this was GeoZap, the producer of the complex. So go ahead and get that so you guys can see the deck list. And that was my 2 Horseman decks. So we've got Odette, Arc, Jartrip, and GeoZap, the producer of the complex. So we've got Sanctum, Mars, and Logos, and then we've got Shadow, Sanctum, and Mars. So which one did you guys like better? Let me know in the comments, and we'll hope to see you on my next video.